So in between all of the matches that were going on, in between my commentary, don't tell Capcom this, I was definitely looking at the chat, and lo and behold, not only were the homies gassing me up, they were gassing all the players up. Everyone was chatting up in there. It felt honestly like a local, to be honest, where or I guess it would be more of a major that everyone was coming through from different states, right? It's kind of not a common practice for every scene to do that. Some scenes kind of do that, as we've seen in the Intel World Open, but not every one of them.
Yeah, that was interesting. I feel like the reason I was in the chat a whole lot was because I just found it, how can I explain, like, I'm so emotionally invested. Right. I was just genuinely emotionally invested in the other matches. And I just wanted to keep myself like calm and not be overthinking it. Because I know if that was a regular tournament that wasn't a CPT event,
right,
I would have been in the chat.
Yeah, because you always are.
I always am.
A lot of the Midwest people always do that, right?
We always do that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, now that it's CPT, if I all of a sudden don't do that, then I'm probably psyching myself out. But, you know, I think that our scene just being so tight-knit, we were so excited to even have a CPT Midwest event.
Right.
And me and Brian talked about it before the event. Genuinely, whoever won that event, even though losing it would have been sad, we were gonna be happy for whoever the person is that won. Right. And that's what happened. You know, that's what I experienced from all my guys, like I would have expected. And if Brian would have won, if Just a Kid would have won, it's like for this next event, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that tight-knit community. But overall, as far as what people typically do in between matches, I want to talk about the value of maybe watching somebody's matches. Like,
what do you get from that?
Yeah, like studying. So I do watch some things. Like, for example, how can I explain it? I don't give you guys all the sauce or nothing like that, but I will say,
just a dab.
In top 16, for example, there's a gap from pools to top 16 time-wise, and I knew I had to fight this dude, Mr. Mad Gear.
Okay.
And he had beat Dual Kevin in pools, so I was like, I was a little bit surprised, but I went back and watched it, and I seen a couple of habits. It only took like a couple of, like, really it was like one.
So you ain't spending a lot of time, you know, doing that. Just a couple
when
seconds.
When I seen one or two habits in there, and I see like in general, what's the general gist of what's going on here, I said, okay. And now I have my strategy
all lined up,
which I already have. This is the thing too. I feel like you don't want to overdo it personally. At least the way that I go about it. I feel like you can psych yourself out. Like if going into the top 8 for the next day, I had to fight Dapvic, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's a player where, you know, he's a Cammy player. I already know the K matchup.
You already know the work for that, right?
Yeah, I haven't played this guy personally a lot, but I did go and look a little bit. Like I will try to see how he plays and everything, and try to decide on a strategy. But I stopped myself like, okay, cool, that's it.
Yeah, you were done.
I think there's a such thing as over preparing.
Right. You know, I think it is detrimental if you go too far with that kind of stuff, like you saying.
Yeah.
Like imagine, because sometimes people play a certain kind of way against certain people, right? They know people's habits, they know what they're doing, so maybe they'll wake up EXP a little bit more, maybe they'll, you know, dash a little bit more because they know that person. And if you pick up on a habit that doesn't exist for you, is not prepared for you, you maybe screw up your own game plan. So maybe it's better just to stick to what you know and then make those adjustments when they need to come.
It's harder for people to adapt to you or just download you from watching you. When, like, I know in CBT Midwest, like going into it, I think that everyone had me and Brian as the favorites. I think a lot of people did. So you know that means people prepared for us hard.
Right. They're watching your stuff.
But
it's good.
Neither of us lost a game outside of, well, I didn't lose a game and Brian only lost a game to me. So even with people preparing, and I think the reason why you see that is because our strategies are built around the characters and adapting to our opponents.
Right.
So you're not really, there's going to be some habits for everyone. But you're not really going to see, like ideally, you're not going to be able to just see, oh, watch a Rob match or watch a Brian match and
understand that
this is how they're going to play against me too, just like you're bringing up right there. So I definitely think that's important right there. As far as like in between matches, I think your mental state is the most important thing. With tournaments in general, I think your mental state is the most important part. Just not psyching yourself out. I have one thing too that I don't like, and I talked to my guy Kevin about this too, Dual Kevin.
Run it.
And he's the same way. If you go to a major, you'll notice that a lot of people are willing to, like, if you have to play against a certain character, somebody who plays that character might be willing to run sets with you so you can get comfortable.
Right,
like, okay, I have Margot in my pool, so
let me get some Karen, you know. Let me get some Cammy.
Yeah, so now some people might go and play with Cammy players and stuff like that. I used to do that. I do not do that anymore. I have no interest in that anymore. Because I feel like if I sit there and play, like, you know, I had that VIP or whatever, right? If I would have hit up Dude to play his Cammy, it's like, y'all play so different.
Right.
So if we sit here and have a long session and I'm trying to get my muscle memory together and everything, your habits are so different. You don't do this move, or maybe an exact example. Maybe a Cody player. Me and Hoji play a whole lot, right?
Right.
Hoji whiff punishes Kieran's cross medium kick will stand medium punch into the kick or whatever.
Right, ruffian.
Into ruffian kick consistently. Commentators know all the move names. Into ruffian consistently, right? But if I go against other Cody players, they don't do that.
Right.
So if I'm not taking more risk of my cross medium kick, I'm doing a disservice to myself because I'm assuming they're going to do something that they're
You're
not.
limiting your own game plan. You're ruining your own template that you've created, and now you have to fix yourself during a match in the first of 2, or sometimes even the first of 3. That's detrimental, and that's more mental stack that you don't need to have.
Yeah, you're assuming it's like you have phantom pain.
Right, phantom pain. You phantom boxing. Ain't nothing. There ain't nobody there.
Ain't nothing there. And you're being scared of it pretty much.
Fighting your demons, and there ain't nobody home.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, I feel like as a whole, as far as tournament is concerned, everyone does have their own way. So I'm sure there are people who do like to play against people or study more in depth. And one thing I will say just in general when it comes to fighting games or taking advice from people in general when it comes to something competitive especially is that people's theories evolve.
Right.
So if you ask me the same question in 6 months, my theory might be a bit different. And 6 months from that, it might be a bit different. For not CPT, but for Blink All-Stars, I ended up getting second in that to I don't be so annoying. But in that event, I came into it and I had player strategies for everyone in that event.
Right.
For CPT, I did not have that. I had character stuff the whole time.
You had your own stuff.
And it's my own. Yeah, right. So, make sure that you are finding out, trying different things out. It's kind of like fitness and stuff like that, right? You try different stuff, try different diets, see what works the best for you and your body. And, maybe you can go ahead and body some folks in bracket.